Hello, on the Daily Family. Welcome back to the show. I am feeling all the feelings because of the full moon that is happening currently, and I hope that everybody had a relaxing weekend. The thing with the full moon in Taurus that you have to understand, and this is not even talking about the eclipse and it happening while Mars is retrograde and the fact that we're in Scorpio season. The thing with a full moon in Taurus, that is the sign of material, the sign of money, the sign of finances. And so a lot of people have been so stressed this week about their money, about their the way that their finances are flowing to and from them, about their material things. And, do I raise my prices? Do I not raise my prices? Do I put more money into this retirement account? Do I not? Do I take money out of the stock market? Do I put money into the stock market? Do I invest in more real estate? Do I not invest in more real estate? And here's the deal. If there's anything I've learned when it comes to full moons with eclipses during Scorpio season and when Mars is retrograde and the fact that it's a full moon in Taurus, it's do nothing. It's do less until it's over. Because at the end of it, there's going to be a huge transformation of feelings and emotions and all of these things. Like it all is for our highest good. Obviously, all of these shifts we're feeling, all of the things that we're feeling in our bodies and our bones and our emotions, like it's all for our highest good. That doesn't mean that it's not going to be emotional while it's happening. And I know for me personally, I have had a very emotional weekend. I have, like this past weekend, I wanted to hide in a hole and I wanted to do nothing and I wanted nobody to talk to me. And I found myself very irritable, very on edge. And I know that that's because of all of this new transformational energy that's coming in because of Scorpio season and the full moon in Taurus with a lunar eclipse. So breathe. And if you are feeling some type of way the past week, it's normal. It's normal and it's all for your highest good. And all you got to do is breathe through it. And I would say sometime later this week, early next week, you're going to start to feel that like influx of really good, positive manifestation energy. Okay. I'm going to share with you a few things today that changed my business forever. That took me from 4 to 5 to 6 figure months and that I think that everybody should implement into their business sooner than later. Before I do that, I'm going to tell you about a couple things I have coming up. Number one is my free human design training that's happening on the 11th and 12th of November. That's this weekend. If you're listening to this episode when it launches, it will be November 11th and 12th. You can click the link in our show notes to register for that, or you can come to Instagram and click the link in my bio at Danielle_on_the_daily. And you can register for it there. It is absolutely free. There's no strings attached. You just have to give me your email so I know where to send the information. Other than that, it is completely free. And I'm going to go into all things human design. I'm going to talk about your profile. I'm going to talk about your type. I am going to kind of tailor it to entrepreneurs because I think there's so many entrepreneurs who want to use human design in their business and they don't really know how, or they want to lead their business with their human design, but they don't know how. So I am going to talk a lot about that. I'm going to talk a lot about, how to lead with your profile. Like I'm a 6'2" sacral generator. So leading for me as a 6'2" looks a little bit different than, let's say, if you were a 1'3" or a 6'3" or, another profile. So I'm going to talk a lot about that, but pretty much I'm just going to share about human design. And if that is something that you've been interested in, I know it's a very overwhelming topic. And a lot of you come to me on Instagram and you're like, I want to know more about human design. Where do I go? This is a great training for you. And because it's for you, I have no reason not to. It is recorded, so you're going to have access to it, even if you can't make the live call. And it's going to be really helpful. So make sure you register for that. That is going to take us into, at the end of the month, I have a 3-day live workshop called Selling Fiercely. I've actually just written the content for it. And it's so good. This course, I will package and relaunch over and over and over again. And every time I do, it will go up in value because it is just so good. And if you get in this time at this price, that's amazing because then you're going to have access to it even when it expands and when it grows. But for this round, I am talking all things packaging your offers, even what your offer looks like. I'm talking about selling your offer, how to do that. I'm talking about automation. I'm talking about attraction marketing. I'm talking about creating not selling the transformation, but instead selling the problem that people are experiencing having the transformation, because people are already bought into the transformation. They don't need to be sold on that. So I'm going to teach you how to do all of that inside of this workshop. And it's going to be backed up by a Facebook page where you have accountability and you can talk with other people. I'm so excited about this course, and I just know it's going to keep growing, and I'm going to keep expanding it. And every time I do, it's going to go up in value. So get in on it now. It is the lowest price it's ever going to be. And, I just don't want you to miss it, especially if your business requires you to sell anything, whether that be products, services, programs, you name it. Get in there. Next, I have intuition, authority, power. So if you get into this free training for human design, I'm going to talk a lot about this program I have coming up in December, which is intuition, authority, power. It's 4 weeks. It is live activation group calls. It is meditations. It's hot seat coaching, and it's a Facebook group. So it's running like a coaching program / mastermind hybrid, and it's 4 weeks to get you ready for 2023. All about human design. So running your business with your human design in mind, how to scale your offers using your human design, how to attract clients using your human design, all of it. It's all in there, and it's going to be the most epic 4 weeks of our lives. And I'm so excited to launch this program. I cannot wait. But just like my other offers, this one will continue to go up, because as I build it out, it is going to be, I always do this where I'll build something and I'll be like, yep, that's a 4-week course. And then I start adding classes because I start adding like live calls because it's just so good. And every time I do that, I'm going to up the value in it. So if you want in it, now's the time. I have payment plans. I have flexible pricing. You can DM me and we can find something that'll work for you. So yeah, those are my offers currently. We're also in pre-sale right now for the next round of the Quantum Leap Mastermind. So if being in a mastermind is something that you've wanted and you want my support and coaching, but you also want the mentorship and support of other people, the mastermind is a great place to find that. It runs for 12 weeks. And it's really powerful. And the last round I had, like the growth and the quantum leaping that we saw in there, like we collapsed time, and it was really powerful. So if you want in on that, slide into my DMs at Danielle_on_the_daily, and we will absolutely point you in the right direction. Okay. The most prominent, powerful decisions I've made in my business in the last year that have changed my business forever. Let's go. Number 1, I learned my human design. Above anything, that is the most powerful thing I've done for my business since starting my business. Why would human design be such a big deal? And listen, I don't think human design takes the place of astrology. I don't think it takes the place of atomic habits. I don't think it takes the place of any of that. I just think for me, it was what I needed to learn about myself to really tap into what brings me joy and start saying no more often to things that do not fill me up. And so learning about my human design gave me insight to how I should be working, how my energy flows, why I get burnt out sometimes, what to do about it, what does frustration mean for me, what does the feeling of success mean for me and satisfaction. All of that came when I learned about my human design. So that's like another reason to get into this free training this weekend on human design. It was the best thing I ever learned about myself. And human design is a logical system. It's a logical system that helps you understand yourself better. And it pulls from so many different modalities, so many different ideologies, so many different places. And it really is a beautiful way to kind of tap into who you are at your core. So that was the best thing I ever did for my business. Number 2, I set boundaries. Woo. Boundaries, Danielle, that's a scary word. If you follow me and have been following me for any amount of time, you know that boundaries is like my favorite word and my favorite practice ever. I used to not have any though. If you get my newsletter, you read about that this weekend. And if you ever want to get on my newsletter, by the way, you can always click the link in our show notes and register for that. But I wrote a whole, we call it the Sunday wrap up or the Sunday roundup. I wrote about it this week. That I used to have no boundaries. I used to say yes to everything all the time. I used to think it was normal to overextend myself, overpromise, underdeliver. I didn't know how to say no. I didn't know how to decline things that were not serving me. I didn't know how to let things go that were not serving me. And boundaries was the absolute best thing I ever learned how to set in my business. I talk a lot about boundaries and how to set them in my Overcoming Limiting Beliefs class that is for sale all the time. I am going to repackage that actually and do it again live because I think I've learned a lot more about it and I have a lot more to say. So I guess stay tuned for that in the next month. But overcoming limiting beliefs and being able to set boundaries was honestly like one of the best things I ever did for my business because, like, for example, I now don't take calls on Mondays. I just don't. It's not something I enjoy. My clients, if you think your clients need you 5 days a week, you are wrong. They don't. And if you're coaching them and mentoring them in the right way, they won't need you that much. You'll be able to take breaks. You'll be able to take time for you. So I now have Mondays as my CEO day. That's a big boundary I have. I don't take calls. I also have my office hours in Voxer. So I put all of my one-on-one clients in a Voxer group and I'm only available in there Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. Like outside of that, I'm not answering. And my clients know that and they'll still post in there and then I'll get back to it Monday morning or the next business day. I don't take calls before 11 a.m. And that's because I like to wake up slow. I like to drink my tea. I like to take my supplements. I like to work out. There's things I enjoy doing in the morning that I cannot be in my genius with my clients until I do those things. So I don't take calls before 11. I don't say yes to anything that's not mutually beneficial. If something is not mutually beneficial, I do not have time for it. And I know you might be listening to this and thinking like, oh my gosh, like how did you get there? Because I don't even know how to say no to my mother-in-law. And it's a practice. Like boundaries is not a noun. It's not something you're going to do once and you're going to put it on a shelf and you're never going to talk about it again. Like boundaries is a practice. You're going to have to continue to work on it. But start small, you know, if somebody asks you to go out to dinner tomorrow night and like, you're just not feeling it, say no. If somebody asks for your help that you don't have the energy to help them with, you say no, right? Like just start practicing saying no because there is a saying that says the most successful entrepreneurs say no most often. And what that does is it keeps us in our genius so that we can be the best for our clients. So setting boundaries was one of the best things I ever did. Another good thing I did for my business was I invested big. I stopped investing like in courses, in coaches. I stopped investing where I was at and I started investing to where I wanted to be. And that I know is very scary to think about because you're like, well, I don't even have the money for that. I put my first coach, I think my very first one-on-one coach, I spent $8,000 and I put it on a credit card. And that was terrifying because I was like, I don't know when I'm going to pay this off. I don't know how I'm going to pay this off. But you have to remember, I say this all the time, money is energy and it's going to come in at the level of the frequency that you are operating at. And it is one thing to say that you trust that the universe has your back. And it is another thing entirely to actually embody that. And part of the embodiment piece is trusting that when you go big, you'll receive big. And for me, that was investing. I wanted to invest in coaches. I wanted to invest in myself, in my personal growth, in my personal development. I wanted to invest in those things because I knew where I was going. And guess what, y'all? Every time I invest big money into a coach, into a program, into something for my business, it comes back 10x. At the time, the first time I invested $8,000 into a coach in my business, I was probably making, oh my gosh, probably like $2,000 a month. Maybe not even. It was probably less than that. It was probably like $1,000 a month I was making, and I invested $8,000. Guess what? By the end of working with that coach, I was bringing in at least $10,000. So you just grow, you amplify, because if you're afraid to spend money and invest money, then that money is going to not come to you in the same frequency. You can't expect your clients to pay your prices if you're not willing to walk the walk and talk the talk, right? So it's about investing into the person you're becoming, not necessarily the level that you're at. And that is scary, but I promise you the first time you do it, you will see what I mean. You will 10x every single time. So I know a lot of you, like for example, I like my Selling Fiercely workshop at the end of the month. There's been probably hundreds of people that have like clicked on that. And I get all those metrics. I see who checks out. I see who makes it to checkout, and then I see who converts. And there's hundreds of people that have gotten to checkout and then they don't purchase. And you're not purchasing because you're like, oh my gosh, that's a lot of money. And your ego's getting in the way and it's trying to stop you. But y'all, if you continue to let your ego win and you continue to not make these big steps, you will make back. I think Selling Fiercely is like $888 and there's a payment plan. You will make that back. right? And this doesn't even necessarily mean me. I'm just talking about me because I'm a coach, but this is anything you want to invest in, any coach you want to invest in. Like, you will make that back because you're putting big moves into the world, right? And if you think about the shit that so for example, the other day I was like circling around investing in a mastermind for 2023 that I wanted to be a part of. It was a very high ticket mastermind. And I was freaking out about it because I was like, oh my gosh, like, I'm trying to buy a house. Like, is this the right move? Should I be investing in this right now? Like, is that smart? But here's the deal, right? Like, I knew that if I didn't, my money would stay stuck, and stuck money does not feel good in your body. Stuck money is stagnant money. Stagnant money is not moving forward. Money is energy. Energy likes to flow. Okay. So by doing that, by investing that money into this thing, I have already seen this shift in my business. I'm already feeling it. And that is because I made big moves. And when you make big moves, the universe responds in a big way. So investing in your business, into the business you want, not the business you have. That was huge for my business, huge and life-changing for my business. It's like, you'll go down and you'll spend, $3,000 on Botox and filler, but you won't invest that into a coach. You'll go down and you'll spend, $100 every 4 weeks on your nails, but you won't invest it into a coach. And that's the disconnect, right? Like, that's the difference between somebody who is moving and somebody who's not. And I'm not saying you got to go drop $50,000 on a coach, right? There was a time when I was not dropping $50,000 on a coach. But my business wasn't there yet. It's really about like investing in a way that is moving you closer to the business you want to run, to the person you want to become. So this is your sign. If you've been circling around one of my offers, just go freaking do it. Just go freaking do it. I promise you nothing bad's going to happen and you're going to be okay. I promise you that. And there's payment plans and there's flexible pricing. And if there's another pricing option that works better for you, like, message me. I'm always available. I will always try to work it out with you. So those are like, well, okay. And then there's one more. And the number 4 thing that I did, the best thing I ever did for my business, was I tightened up my circle. And I mean this in a way of like, I stopped sharing my business ideas with people in my life that I knew like couldn't get it. It's like, you need to stop expecting everybody to like understand where you're going. Not everybody's going to understand where you're going. And so I started to really intentionally put myself into spaces with people who were going where I was going, right? So I started putting myself into high level masterminds. I started to talk more about my business to my friends who were millionaires and, working their way to 8-figure businesses. And that's the kind of person that I'm sharing my business ideas with, right? Like, I started following more pages of people who were going where I was going. And that usually triggered me because, like, y'all, those decisions, like whether it be investing, whether it be like being in the rooms with people who are going where you're going, it's never going to feel logical. Like, that's the thing that we don't understand, is like, we think that it should feel logical. Like, we think it should sound good in our brain. It's never going to sound good in your brain. In your brain's gonna be like, this is fucking crazy. But your heart knows, your intuition knows, and it's just, you're going to feel it in your body that it's the right choice. So like, there's friends I have that I love them to death. I will always love them to death. I do not share my business with them because I know that they're not in that place. And so it's going to hurt both of us to share that. Now, we can still talk about our kids. We can still talk about our lives. We can still talk about all the other things, but I don't need to share my business with everybody. I'm sharing my business with people that I know get it and have been where I'm going, right? So I don't share like pricing for my programs with my mom who doesn't own her own business and like could never understand. Like, and that's not her problem. Like, we walk different life paths. Like, it's not her fault that she doesn't understand, but we try to get all these people to understand our why. Why do you need everybody to understand where you're going? That tells me that you have a limiting belief around making people happy and people pleasing that you need to figure out. Because it's not your job to bring everybody with you. It's not your job to convince people that what you're doing is a good idea. All you can be sure of is that you know what you're doing, and you're going to surround yourself with people that are also going there or who have already been there. So that's like the other biggest thing I've done in my business to like really, 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 really change the game. I hope these 4 were helpful. So, it's Number 1 was learning my human design. Number 2 is setting boundaries. Number 3 is investing in my business. And number 4 is tightening my circle. All 4 of those things dramatically shifted my business, and I know they're going to do the same for you. And I promise you, if you have issues with any of these 4, I have a course about it. I've literally made a course, or there's one starting soon, about all of these topics, and I would be happy to share the information with you. If you come to my Instagram, Danielle_on_the daily. My website, by the way, everybody, is being revamped right now. So if you're like, where's her website? Like, my website is being revamped, and it is going to come back bigger and badder than ever. And so just stay patient with me. I have links. I have things. I also have a DM inbox that I answer. It's me answering all the time, and I would be happy to point you in the right direction. If you don't know how we can work together, but you know we should, absolutely come find me on Instagram. I will point you in the right direction and welcome you into the deep end of my swimming pool with open arms. All right, y'all. You can always go to Apple Podcasts, go to our page on Apple Podcasts, scroll down to the bottom, and leave us a rating and write us a review. Screenshot that for me, send it to me on Instagram, and I will give you a discount off of any of my programs. So I hope this was helpful. Stay graceful with yourself through this full moon. Sagittarius season is coming, y'all. And from a Sagittarius to you, I can tell you it's going to be good times. I love y'all, and we'll be back on Friday with another episode. Bye.